Yes, guys, welcome along to AVFTS and welcome along to some more Aston Villa news. We are cooking. We're going to be talking lots today. Onana and Jaden Philogene Bidice is coming to Aston Villa. And if you haven't already, make sure you smash a like, subscribe to the channel and get in the comment section as well, because this is a big one. We are talking serious game here. People don't sleep on Aston Villa. We're moving big. We are making the biggest moves in the transfer market and people do not like it. Wow, wow, wow. Let's see what's going to happen with this one. Big up to everyone. Smash the like and subscribe if you are new. We've got a lot to talk. And big up to also everyone who's come from Referral. I know that Cass has sent you over and said F the Villa, but it's not the case. It's up the Villa in these day and age. But yeah, let's get into this one then. We've got two big pieces of news. Onana, we've got to get straight into him. It has come from two of the best sources in the game. This one is definitely happening. This one is running. It is coming from David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano. Let's see what they've reported right now. And let's see what is happening. Here is the first piece of news then. Live and direct from David Ornstein. Here it is. And big up the clan. Now, he is the GOAT. He is actually the one who gave out this story early on, and he was the one who put this story out before even Fabrizio himself. Fabrizio didn't get out there quick enough. It came from David Ornstein. And when this one broke, I was like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. This is moving big. So it says Aston Villa in the process of finalising an agreement with Everton to sign Amadou Onana. Deal worth 30 million and personal terms in place on a long-term contract. 22 years old. Right, long-term contract is the first starter. But we've got to go to the second point is, and I'm very keen to ask people this question. How do people feel about Onana? How do people feel about Onana? Do we rate him or do we not? And this is where we're going to get into it today. We need to get into the gist of this because I believe Onana splits opinion massively. There are some football fans out there who will tell me this guy is overrated. This guy is not the player that you would expect to see. And other times as well, there are people who are telling me this is the real deal for Aston Villa. I am taking note. So let's see what you guys also say about this as well. So yeah, big up to everyone in the chat. There's loads of you in here. If you are watching a replay as well, then let me know. But big up to Lee Collison, big up to Mum, to Unai, to Dino, to Farmitude, to Credo. So get Onana at the Villa, please. But yeah, big up to you. Farmitude as well, who's been a member for 8 months. Big up to you. Big up to Clinton, who's in the house. Chris is in the house. He can't believe what we're affording these signings. Well, listen, just to be clear, the way Aston Villa are affording these signings is very simple. We have broken out of that deadline of the 30th of June, which is where we were going to be asked about our compliance for PSR. It's a new almost year of budget, and we are absolutely smashing it. But yeah, big up to those who've come from the Never for Our raid as well. Big up to Rachel, big up to everyone. Richard Edwards, the lot, the clan is in the house. So there's lots for me to unpick. Now, I don't know where to go next. We know this story is confirmed. In fact, what I'll do maybe is show you a picture of Onana in an Everton, in a Villa shirt, not an Everton shirt, because that's where he's coming from. But this is what also Fabrizio's put out there. So just to confirm, just so anyone's like, this is paper talk or this isn't real talk, this is the absolute real deal right now. Here it is. Onana, it's a big deal. It's a big contract. Until June 2029, a 5-year deal, and the medical is being booked, the deal to be signed next week. And there he is, Onana. So, as I said, he's a young player that almost fits the new Unai Emery bill. He fits the idea that we are going for young players who we can mould into a brilliant position and brilliant spec. And I must say, I have been let me ruin this a little more fragile. I have not been a fan of this player. When Manchester United were linked with Onana, and they have been for a while, I have almost been said that would be a terrible, terrible signing for Manchester United. Now he's come to Aston Villa, you almost have to transfer your mind and think again. There are lots of pros that Onana can build to our team. But I also go off the fans. I'm trying not to go off the stats. I'm trying to go off a little bit of comments of what Everton fans say. So those of you who are in here right now, we may not have watched much of Onana. We can only go off clips and thoughts. But there are some interesting comments on Onana that I'm going to share with you right now. And I want to know your guys' thoughts on what these Everton fans are saying. Because you almost have to get a perspective of what they are. But big up to everyone who's in the chat right now. And also, Bill, by the way, if you are watching on replay, then big up to you. But please make sure you smash a like and keep that like button going. But look, the potential and sort of development of Onana is something that's in the positive camp for me. This is where I'm feeling a little bit underwhelmed, and I'll show you that, and I will come to some of the comments here. But let's go to this comment from these Everton fans, okay? Because this is where you sort of want to really feel what's going on, okay? I'm going to start on this comment here, all right? This one. I want to know your thoughts on here. And again, we've got to take it with a pinch of salt. We're going off a very small quantity, a very small survey of people. But it says here, want to make something clear. I like Onana and Aston Villa and wish both parties success. Villa are a proper English club, and if they can break up the Big Six dominance, it can only be good for us all. This is the killing line, though, for me. I just don't recall one standout performance from Onana in 2 years. Okay, so that's evidence number one, okay? That is Everton comment number one I'm going to show you. That thing there where it says they cannot remember one standout performance in 2 years, that worries me. That's worrying me. But yeah, big up to if you have noticed, I have got a bit of an injury on the hand, broken knuckles and fingers. I've got the claret, sort of the blue or the claret, just in case anyone's seeing me waving around. I know Lee's asking on that. But big up as well to Richard Edwards, been a member for 10 months, always cheerleading the AVFTS clan, big part of that. And Rachel has come in and said this, a lot of Everton fans say they've had our pants down for the price. He's overrated and he wasn't a star to drop by Dyche. Listen, this is where I'm going along the lines of, and Rachel can see what I'm doing here. But look, this is the next comment I want to show you, okay, about Onana. Because it's very easy to go off stats, but I like to go off people who watch him week in, week out. Like when people talk about our Aston Villa players, we can be like, hold on. This is players that we are more comfortable in. Here's another comment to maybe sway the other way on Onana. Are you ready? For me, Onana is the perfect example of why you should never base an opinion on stats alone. I trust what I see in my eyes, and that was mostly very underwhelming performances and nothing remotely special. He's a good player and he may improve, but he was never great for us. This is another Everton fan who's coming in and telling us he is underwhelming. And this is where I probably have had my limited opinion on Onana. My limited opinion on Onana has been that he is an underwhelming player, that I couldn't really tell you what he does or bring to a game. And I'm left scratching my head going, what's happening here? So, yeah, I'm going to show you one more of that, but we're going to then dissect Onana a little bit more. Big up to James Meakin, who said he won't let him super chat because he's on a South African IP today. Where are you in the world, James? But big up to the clan. Big up to Lee Collison as well. He's been a member for 9 months. Seeing a lot of love from the clan today. You guys are incredible. Look at this last comment. Look at this last comment here, though, on Onana, and I'm just going to get it up. So that's 2 who've said underwhelming. And you have to go with what I would probably say is the majority on that. But this is one. This is a positive Everton fan. This is a positive. Let's go on a bit of a positive. We've had a few dampeners. Let's go on a positive. Okay. 50 million for Onana, I think will end up becoming a steal with the right coaching. He'll be able to go as far as he wishes. Got all the attributes, easier double your money deal at the least for Villa, and I hope Villa absolutely smash it to this season. Fair play to them. Wow. That fills me with encouragement. That fills me with absolute encouragement. So I'm going to ask you this question right now in the chat, or if you're watching on replay. Number 1, have you liked the stream? Then if you haven't, make sure you do. But number 2, Onana, genuine now. Do you rate him? Do you not rate him? Do you think this is a bargain? Or do you think £50 million is a lot of money to spend on him? It's a big outlay for £50 million for a player who has toyed with that relegation. Potential fans calling him underwhelming, but is a Belgium international. Now, is it the fact that Everton was not the right club for him? Was it the fact that it was not the right club for him? I want to know that. But big up Julia, who's in that house as well. I'm going to read out those of you who say you rate him or don't. How do you feel about him? Michelle is saying Onana is a great signing. Big up to you. Big up to Julia, who's smashing the members milestone. 17 months. Unbloody believable from you. And big up to Gaz Highlights as well. Appreciate all the members in the house. Memberships are still going on the channel, guys. If you want to get into them, then absolutely do. By the way, David Ham comes with another perspective about Everton. Can they remember any standout performance in the last few years? They've been awful. Playing Dyche ball doesn't suggest he'd be doing anything special. A very good balanced opinion. Richard is saying how he starts for Everton. You know what? It's very interesting the mixed perspective on Onana. Credo saying rated, Michelle saying he's worth the money, Richard Edwards saying rated, top tier player. Gav is saying I don't rate him, he's overhyped. Big outlay initially, but could be a bargain in the future. So why is it we're looking at the future, and why do people keep mentioning this? Well, there's only one thing to say about his future. It's because of his age again, and I love that we are maybe doing this now. I don't want to dig out Spurs here, but I am going to dig out Spurs. Tottenham have been telling us we are project youth now. We are project youth. We're going to build 3 or 4 years under Ange Postecoglou, and we're going to be project youth. That's all I'm hearing. That's all I'm hearing about Spurs, right? How about Aston Villa and project youth? You don't hear us coming in and saying we're project youth. We're saying we're project now, but we're going to sign players who we think are youngsters who actually can come in and do the job right now. That's what I'm feeling, and that's what I'm saying about this as well. So why is it, again, why am I almost going to this project youth sort of category? Well, he's 22 years old. He's 22 years old. He turned 23 in August. So next month he turns 23. So we're signing a 23-year-old Belgium defensive midfielder international. Now, we have been calling out for years at Villa. We have been calling out for years at Villa for a holding midfielder of decent caliber and decent quality. We've now got Enzo Berentia in. Sorry, let's go even further back than that. We've had Kamara in on a free. We've now got Enzo Berentia in from Juve, which is going to be a risk, okay? But I'm hyping up Enzo Berentia, by the way. I think he's going to be excellent. He's going to be that dark horse that we weren't expecting to flourish. I think he's going to be brilliant. And now we're bringing in another holding midfielder in Onana. Now, there is a possibility that Berentia could go out on loan. But what we're getting is a mixture of range in our midfield. Onana, Berentia, Kamara. All different types of holding midfielders, but good ones. Big up to Jason Powell, who's joined us. Big up to you. With inexperience, you get inconsistency, which tends to be Onana's biggest issue. And Kamara is insane as well, Farmy. Agree on that. So this is my point now. And I'm trying to do everything when I try and do these streams. And I do apologize. And if you have watched the last stream, I came in really hard on Moussa Diaby to start with. I've had a bit of flack from it. I basically said Moussa Diaby flopped. Those of you who were in the stream knew that I then retracted that statement and said, actually, I think Moussa Diaby was underwhelming and disappointing. But what I'm now saying with Onana is I'm trying to come with a balanced perspective. I think Onana has been underwhelming in his time in the Premier League. I think everyone was expecting Onana to hit the Premier League by storm and by force and be this powerhouse in the midfield and be a Patrick Vieira or a Yaya Toure. And actually, hasn't really done to that. The other side of the coin, which I'm going to come to, is that he played for Everton. And Everton have been flirting with relegation. Everton have been playing a really horrible, negative style of football. And ultimately, if we really deep it, it's not been a great platform for him potentially to succeed in. So we have to ask ourselves this question. Has Onana been limited in that? And therefore, do we need to maybe base Onana off more of an international performance at Belgium? Is that where we should be basing Onana more realistically? The other thing about that, though, is that Belgium have been awful on the international stage in major competitions. So I'm really struggling to get a good, positive sort of vibe of seeing Onana what we have. But I'm going to put a perspective on it. And as someone said in that, if Unai Emery wants him, then we should trust him. Okay, and we have to. But 50 million is a big outlay. And I've seen someone actually put there. If you had 50 million spent on one player for Villa, who would it be? Now, would it be? Now, this is a great question from A Mango. Would it be Onana? Would you actually drop 50 million on Onana if someone said, go, here's 50 mil? Is that the first player that comes to your mind? Or actually, is it someone you would have ignored? That's the sort of thought I would want to employ you to have a look at. But let's have a look at the stats. The one thing I must say is that what we are going to get, hopefully, touch wood, and I'll come to it, is that we're going to get someone who is bloody going to defend corners and help us with our corner problems, okay? Because we're getting someone at 1.95 meters, someone who's a powerhouse in that. We have to find a way of defending corners better, and I think Onana is going to hit that profile. Absolutely. My one worry though, and we're not going to go off his Euro statistics as such because we're not really bothered about that. But in that central midfield position and defensive midfield position, I don't want to. Again, will Unai do something interesting? Will Unai actually look at him as more of an 8? Would he say, "Do you know what, Onana? I think you've got the legs. I think you could be a box-to-box type of player." Someone I think about at Everton, and just quite interestingly, actually, who was the one Everton player who shone last season for them under Diceball? It was Decore. Decore became a pivotal part of Everton's plans. He was a goal scorer. He popped up and he became the 8. And Onana was benched for Decore. I wonder, again, I'm feeling Yuri Tielemans vibes. Had Onana checked out of Everton? Had Onana not already been found in his correct position, like Yuri Tielemans did at Leicester City? Is this what we're going to get with Onana? He comes to Aston Villa with a fresh lease of life and go for it. But Credo makes a good point. Who else in Europe has the stats at his age in that position? So if Onana can be an 8, an athletic 8, a Patrick Vieira, Yaya Toure type of 8, in that sense of bombing on, a powerhouse, then we've got a hell of a player on our side. If we've got someone who's just going to be a bit of a physical presence, then and in that pivot, it's interesting. The one thing I will say about Unai Emery ball, and this is the question I'm going to ask everyone to think about in the chat, and if you're watching on replay, do you ever think about Onana as someone technically gifted to receive the ball on the back foot, to be able to open up play, to spread passes? First question I'm going to ask you. Do you think about Onana as that? Okay? Do you see Onana as technically someone who can receive the ball on the back foot, will be comfortable on that double pivot to receive the ball under pressure, and be able to open up his body and play? Because if you don't, then he won't be on that double pivot. He will, as we've said, go into that 8. And Jason, I love that saying about missing Dougie already. It's one of those scenarios, isn't it? About, are we just trying to find a like-for-like replacement of Dougie, or are we trying to find something different? And so Onana, for me, isn't a player technically gifted enough to play in that double pivot. However, put him in the 8, and I think he cooks. So I think Unai Emery ball, like you guys have watched him, right? We will play out from the back. We will be inviting the press to play through the press. He has to be technically sound in those areas. He has to be technically sound in those areas. Otherwise, he'll get caught out. And if you remember Kamara at the start of the season, right, for Aston Villa, struggled in the double pivot of playing out from the back. He made mistake after mistake, but he grew into the role. And this is where, again, I'm being my perspective, I'm going the other side of the coin. Onana can grow in that role then. As Rachel's just said as well, you can teach that. You can improve that. Unai Emery is a technical coach. He's someone who improves players technically. So I'm just going to say this, right? If Onana is on the back foot and he's trying to receive and he's not very good, we could see that in the first couple of months. But remember, Kamara was like that. And dare I even say, Douglas Luiz struggled at times under Unai to play the way he wanted in terms of taking the ball under immense pressure in very close to our own goal. So it's one of those. But will his physicality, will his height, will his presence, will his defensive attributes allow him to bail himself out if he does mess up in those scenarios? But I can't wait. And this is why. And you can feel my excitement as we're getting closer to pre-season. This is why I cannot wait for pre-season. Because we're going to see so much now. We're going to see players in positions that we may never have seen before. We're going to see systems that we haven't seen before. This is why I'm a bit of a pre-season geek. This is why I will stay up. This is why I will stay up to 2 a.m., 3 a.m. to watch the US preseason summer tours, because I want to see what we're cooking. I want to see the little details of where these players are going to go. And I think Onana, there's got to be a big plan for him. And let's see what happens. But yeah, Aaron said he's exactly what we need. His attributes of bolster us for set pieces, ball winning ability for starters. Yeah, at times, I believe our midfield, definitely in the back end of the season where it was leggy, it was like a sieve. Players could just attack us through the middle of the pitch. Our midfield at times has been like a sieve. And maybe Onana can break that up. But let's see what happens with that one. Let's see what happens. Big up to Ken M as well. He says, if he's the next Marouane Fellaini. Well, listen, Fellaini at Manchester United was a really odd character because he went from being a flop to actually one of their most important players. He went to become their goal threat. They found a way to use Fellaini. And I just think that Onana probably strikes me as that person again. Find the position that he can nail, and we will grow with him. But I want to just show you his statistics then at Everton this season, and sort of where we deep it a little bit more of how he's done, because we can't really judge him on, the goals and that, because that's not what he's known for, right, chat? He's not known for goals and his goals contribution. But moreover, his minutes. Let's start with his minutes. Okay, I want to have a look at his minutes. So the 23-24 season, we're going to show you his minutes. And this is where I would say is the concern. Okay, so let's have a quick look at his minutes here that I'm going to pop up on the stream for you all to see now. So there's his minutes. 30 Premier League games, okay, but 2,000 minutes. So again, not all of these were starts, and I'll try and find the detailed of the starts. In fact, I probably can if I press that detailed tab there. But I want to see how many games he actually started, which would hopefully be... oh, gosh. Pressing buttons now. Apologies. Give me the detailed. I want to know his starts. I want to know his Premier League starts. So actually, it looks a bit better when we scroll down here a bit. You can see where he's had a calf injury. So his injury record's okay. Didn't make the squad, but it's more down this latter stage here. Let's go to this period here, chat. Bournemouth, Newcastle, Chelsea 45, Liverpool 15 minutes, was on the bench against Brentford there, which you can see, was on the bench against Luton, comes in and starts. So, yeah, his minutes were pretty good and pretty solid. He had one little period where he's rotated and dropped. But if we go back to that overall thing here, 30 games, 2 goals, 5 yellow cards. Well, Villa players aren't shy of getting yellow cards, are they? So that'll be interesting. But as a lot of you are saying, he brings height, he brings physical presence, and he's going to clean up, hopefully, in the key areas, which is absolutely important. So look, he's going to split opinion. He is going to split opinion. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it at all. And Richard said we've been crying out for someone with a bit of aggression. I absolutely agree. Teams always say this when they have a player leave. Is that in terms of Douglas Luiz, in what I'm saying about him? But yeah, so the fee is around, as I said, 50 million. Big up the Villa player saying hello, and up the Villa to you. The man with the golden gun said, I think he'll be a beast. I watched him close in a few games. He's very powerful in midfield, can make a tackle and pass the ball off. We look soft against teams like Bournemouth. So where am I going to conclude before we quickly touch on Jaden Philogene? Onana, it's a big outlay. Let's not get that wrong. A 5-year contract for a Premier League player. And that's where I'm a little bit happier. We're not going for someone like an Enzo Berentia, who's an unknown, played in Italy. We're going for someone who's done the trade in the Premier League week in, week out for a couple of seasons now. All I would say about Onana is you have to do the eye test on him. In football, there's 2 types of ways you can view football. You either go off the stats, which can be misleading, or you go off the eye test. The eye test for me is players who make an impact, but their stats don't always show it. A player who's a game changer, a player who did that. And I always say this, and I know I link it back, but Ollie Watkins, for me, 2-3 years ago, I used my eyes. I did my eye test. And those of you who've been following my channel long enough to know, I have always hyped Ollie Watkins to the top, okay? Because I did an eye test. Didn't use the stats. Douglas Luiz, you could also argue, if you look at Douglas Luiz's stats, you could be conned by them because his goals and assists are incredible, but how many of them are from penalties? And we, the Villa fans, we watched Douglas Luiz for the last couple of months at Aston Villa. He was off the standard. He was off the boil. But there's loads of people from Arsenal and Chelsea and Man City fans and all these fans telling me, oh, Douglas Luiz, your best player, look at his contributions. Do the eye test as well. Do the eye test. And I think you have to mix the two, as Rachel said, and I completely agree on that. I always try and mix the two. So Onana, for me, stats in terms of his minutes played, his game time, pretty solid. And the other perspective we put on it is that he's been at a struggling Everton side. The eye test is every time I've watched Onana, I've gone, this guy's a bit of a Bambi on ice. Why is this guy not using his physical presence? Why is this guy not marauding around the midfield? Why is this guy not contributing more? These are some of the questions that I've sort of asked about Onana. And we've seen those Everton fans sort of say it. So all I can say is if Unai Emery wants him, then I trust him. And I think it will be a position that we aren't expecting. I don't think we'll see him in the DM. I think we'll see him in the Z8. If we do see him in the DM, I promise you he's going to be a little bit ropey. Just a bit like Yuri Tielemans started out. Hey, imagine a word like this. Imagine a word like this. Onana plays second striker behind Ollie Watkins, and we have a physical presence up there. Not saying that's going to happen, but we could be absolutely curveballed by that. We could be absolutely curveball that we're going for a big man up alongside Ollie Watkins as a second striker. I don't think that will happen, by the way. I want to put that on record. But these are the sort of things and surprises of what coaches can do, the top ones. So there we go. Tom says, I saw him. Absolutely. Richard Edwards, I love your positivity to Onana and keep that up, my friend. If you believe in a player, and I'll say this to anyone in the chat, if there is a player you absolutely believe in, and I'll always go back to my Ollie story, then preach it, preach it, preach it. Because it's your beliefs, it's your feelings, and if that player is someone you really like, then you've got every right to sing them from the hilltops. We're all going to disagree and agree on players, but at the end of the day, if you like a player, come with chest. So I respect everyone who does that, and they love it. Okay, and you should never put someone else's opinion down of if they like someone. You've got to allow it, got to respect it. If you want to argue it and say, well, I actually think this because of this, but never tell them they're wrong. Never ever tell someone they're wrong for having an opinion on a player. I just want to preach that because I think it's going to come a lot this summer. And with Aston Villa this year, we're in for a crazy season. By the way, Villa fans, this ain't going to be no relaxing one. This is going to be a crazy one where we're going to have at times big moments, big game time, big clashes where it can go wrong, and Villa fans have got to stick together and see the big picture. But yeah, do shake your bum violently. Absolutely, Rachel. Shake your bum violently. Big up to Deji. Shoes kebab as well, Julia. Big up to Deji. Shake your bum violently for a player if you rate them. Yeah, exactly, Wayne. Exactly, Wayne. Exactly. Leicester fans were trying to tell us, oh, whoa. You don't want a bit of him. You don't want a bit of Yuri Tielemans. That was their eye test. And, we all knew that Yuri actually down-tooled. Okay, so big up to everyone. Big up to Krim as well. He's just joined us. He's really pleased. Let's quickly then touch on, of course, it's a bit of two songs going today. We've got a little bit of Onana, what's your name? Onana, what's your name? What's your name? Bit of Rihanna, and then we've got a little bit of a Philogene in my heart. I don't know the lyrics, I should, but you know what song I'm trying to sing. We've got a bit of Michael Jackson next, all right? In, of course, the one and only Philogene. Now, let's just go straight to this one because this is an interesting story that I really, really, really am trying to get my head around. And it's one of them where I think Villa, it's a Cameron Archer, isn't it? It's a Cameron Archer sort of vibe. So I'm just loading up what I want to get for this. It's a Cameron Archer vibe on Philogene, but I'll tell you what. If you watch the preseason America tour, like we all did, because we did, then you will know that Philogene had an absolute bloody blinder. He had an unbelievable US tour last summer, like one of the best tours going. And everyone was shaking their head going, why didn't we give him a chance? Why did we not give him a chance? But there we go. They do call him Andre Ajayi. If you haven't seen the interview, then you know. Onana's aerial ability is the top 1% of Europe's top 5 leagues. A great for us, and I would absolutely love that. But yeah, I'm glad you liked my sing along. But let's go to it. Here's the bookmark that I said earlier. Here he is, Philogene. He's there. Fabrizio confirmed. We're going to wait for that one as well to come. Yeah, Banner, big up the tunes. Just sorry, catching up with all the comments and glad you'll like it. But look, Jaden Philogene was signed in as a new Aston Villa player on Monday. 5-year contract valid until 2029. Documents are ready between clubs. Here we go. Story confirmed. What's that you hear? Aston Villa dropping another 5-year contract on a player? We're not messing around with our contracts. We're not messing around with contracts. Now, with Philogene coming in, and those of you who've come up and piped up in the chat, it does suggest Moussa Diaby, Saudi Arabia is a go. It matches up. We cannot keep having all these wingers coming in and no one leaving. So it does look like that. And it is an old pick of Philogene. Because actually, the one I've got on my thumb now is him in the US preseason tour last year. But he was standout player. There was 2 players who caught my eye in the US preseason tour. Number 1 was Emery. He was like a bodybuilder. He was like this. He was doing bits. And I was like, let me have this Emi Buendia. He's going to cook. And then he gets injured, does his ACL, and that was heartbreaking. But Philogene came on, got a start in the preseason tour, was really, really good. And everyone was like, he's going to play. He's going to play in the Prem. I'm pretty sure he played against Villarreal in the preseason as well. And then out of the blue, he goes to Hull City. So let's have a look at his profile in terms of that, guys. Because, yeah, Philogene, and I think him re-signing us, for us, is a big thing. Yeah, I think that, you know, going back for some of the players that we've had to sell or loan out is always an interesting one. But at least we can stand there and say we made a mistake on this player. Or, do you know what? We had to do this, but now we're doing this. Before I go into the Philogene stats, please can you check if you haven't liked the video yet? Please do. It would be massively appreciated. But yeah, big up. I cannot wait for Wolves on Wednesday night. We're going to have a party in here. Make sure you're all going to be here for the watch along. Still have a worry we'll lose JJ, but it is what it is at the moment. Agree. Yeah, that no-look goal against Fulham, I think it was in the US, was next level. You know it, the man with the golden gun. You absolutely know it. And Champions League is just so nice every time I say it. Here he is then. Of course, Hull City player. His contract, of course, for Hull was only a 3-year deal. But he was in a very good Hull team that actually got Liam Rosenior sacked. He got sacked. Oh, why is this bloody advert? We don't want this. What's going on here? How do I get rid of this freaking advert? Hold on. This is absolutely terrible. This is terrible. Hold on. Why can't I get rid of that advert? Sorry, this is a technical error on the card. There is no cross button. I'm being done dirty here. Can't get rid of that. I need to minimize one set chat. I've got a problem here. Right, advert after advert. Get rid. Apologies. Right, we should be good to go again. Unbelievable, isn't it? All right. Just make that bigger. I think I was on 200. There we go. Apologies. Right, here we go. Philogene Bido. Let's go again. Let's go again. So, he is, of course, as I said, 22 years old. Will be 23 next year. It was an advert out there. Chambers has gone to Cardiff. Big up Cam Chambers. I missed him right. He was the clubman of the year. But yeah, 20 years old, left winger, under 21 record, by the way. 4 caps, 3 goals. He's been cooking when he's in the 21s. As he likes to play both wings, left and right, predominantly the left. Again, our left side, Jacob Ramsey and Morgan Rogers. It's a outside that is. But his career has trajected from his loans and then going there. And you can see, one, Aston Villa. He had a loan spell in 2022 at Stoke City. He's had a go at Cardiff as well, by the way. And then it was back to Villa where he got sold to Hull eventually. Now, what were his numbers? Well, let's have a look at his championship numbers right now, people, because that is the stats that we only care about, is his championship numbers for Hull City. Now, he scored one of the best goals I've ever seen in the championship, with his Rabona. It is Rabona, isn't it? He scored that Rabona that was unbelievable against Rotherham. I'll never forget that goal. But yeah, here is his stats. Now look at these. Cooking hell. 32 games in the Championship, 12 goals, 6. Oh, what's happened to sound? Sound okay or not? Is the sound all right, chat, or not? Yeah, are we okay now? I'll try and put that on again if the sound's okay. But yeah, let me know if not. But yeah, just going to the Championship, 32 games, 12 goals, 6 assists. I mean, those numbers, again, we're hitting 18 GA in 32 games. Now, again, let's go back to it. Josh, but the eye test, you were on about the eye test. Well, those stats for me are absolutely incredible. I love those stats. I think those stats are suggesting to me he's taken a shine to the Championship in a whole team that nearly got into the playoffs but just missed out. But eye test wise, I go back to it. Every time I watch Philogene play, he lights it up. He looks electric. He looks dynamic. He looks like he can go forward. He's a ball carrier. And I'll always use this phrase this season, ball carrier. It's what Unai Emery likes. Jacob Ramsey, Morgan Rogers, Leon Bailey, ball carriers. Shame we couldn't get that out of Moussa Diaby, and we probably won't because he's probably going to leave because Philogene's coming in. But he's a ball carrier. He's a dazzler. Eye test for me says yes. Stats for me are saying yes. But the only question upon Philogene, hasn't done it in the Premier League. So only ever played in the Championship, England under 21s. So this is the big test now. Can Jaden Philogene step up from the Championship to the Premier League and cook? We'll have to wait and see. What do you guys think? Where do you see the role of Philogene? Do you think he starts? Do you think he's on the bench? Do you think he's rotation? Do you think we loan him out again? What do you think is Philogene's role? I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Personally, for me, he's going to be squad depth. He's probably going to be fighting, and I hope he gets a better chance than Kane Kesler-Hayden ever did when Kane Kesler-Hayden came on loan. But let's just confirm, we've extended Kane Kesler-Hayden's contract. We've got Philogene Bidice in the house. We've brought in Enzo Barrencha, who's under 25. We've got Onana coming in now, who's under 25. We've got Ilin Jr., who's coming in under 25. Villa are absolutely looking at a certain calibre of players. But big up to Michael, by the way. Huggins is in the house. It's going to be hard for him to get any cooked, to be honest, but one chance he could be in the team. Look, I agree on that. I absolutely agree on that, but I think it's going to be electric. Richo65 is saying, Everton, evening, wishing Onana all the best. Everton fan, this means Branthwaite stays at Everton. It does seem that, unless United pull up the money. But big up to you, big up to any Everton fan who's watching this as well and can give us any feedback. But all over 6'2". There's a profile that Villa, Unai and Monchi are going for. They're under 25. But I'll say it again, I dug them out at the start and I'm going to do it again. We ain't going to be doing a Spursy thing saying here, going, but if we don't win, it's because we're Project Youth. We're signing all these youngsters and products over 5 years. We will win a Premier League in 5 years. Because trust me, on this channel, we're coming for Deji this season. Because if you know, Spurs fans told us, give Ange this season. Next season, we'll be competing for the title. All right, then. Let's see what happens to Spurs. You won't hear Villa making excuses about us signing unproven or unready or young players. We're saying go into the side, make an impact, make a difference, get in the starting lineup. You're playing in the Champions League. Go make it count. Yeah. And I think Rachel's comment here is brilliant. Philogene would have been guaranteed game time to give up Ipswich or Everton. They both wanted him. Ipswich he would have cooked for. I reckon Philogene would have cooked at Ipswich. No doubt about it. So, listen, I'm so excited. I'm going to wrap this show up in a second. I am so excited for pre-season. I'm all real here. You can tell. You can tell how excited I am. And I know you guys are buzzing for it. US Summer Tour. We got Walsall on Wednesday. We've got a game over in bloody Slovenia or something, isn't it? We've got the US Tour. We come back. We've got Dortmund. It's going to be beautiful. We've got Bilbao at the Poundland Bascott Stadium. This is going to be one pre-season to remember, and I hope you're all locked in for it. But I want to just shout out those of you who have been on here. Please go down. Make sure you smash the like button. It does mean a lot to me. A massive shout out to Farmy. Richard Edwards bringing up the hype, loving his energy for Onana tonight. I've got to credit it. Lee Collison always coming in clutch, 9 months a member. Gav for 4 months. Big up to Julia, 17 months is bloody unbelievable. That is an absolute milestone and a half. Big up to Julia. And Ken M for the super chat said if he's the next Marouane Fellaini, then we'll have to see what happens. But shout out to everyone. I do really enjoy your interactions on the live streams. I always think, I don't know when I'm going to be next live, but Villa always bring out news. Being a Villa fan creator, and it's not dull being a Villa fan, I know of that. But big love to you, Jason, absolutely, and love to everyone in the chat. Big up the AVFTS clan. Shout outs going out now for the following. Again, Richard, to Jason, to Lee Collison, to Aaron Morris, to Richo65, the Everton fan coming in and sharing his news, to Tom Stevenson, to Michael Huggins, to TBWY, to Rachel, to Man with Golden Gum, to everyone who's listening, Aidan, Aaron Morris, and if you've just been chilling in the background listening, I hope you enjoyed the show. Big up to, of course, as well, everyone listening. My mum, my dad, as always, Heidi as well. Big up. And of course, as Rachel has said, thank you, Josh. Have a good one all. Nice one, Josh. Absolutely, Tom. You know it. You know it, people. It's the big TADA. Here we go. See you on the next one. Ta